right, and welcome to the Silver Fox edition. Today, I have some amazing men here with me today. I feel like I'm in good hands. I feel protected on both sides. But we have Dexter Matthews with two T's, and Bishop Gregory, the relationship coach, joining us today. And they're here to just drop some gems and some wisdom. We're talking about mental health today and how it plays a role in everything that we have that goes on in our lives. Actually, um, how we react to certain things, how we think, our mindset, all of that. So I just want to say that I'm a huge supporter of men and the roles that you guys play in growing our community and bridging gaps and building and things of that nature. But I also understand the weight that you guys have on your shoulders as just being men. Men, one, specifically Black men, two. So let's talk about how, you know, how you grew up, how your environment was, how it affected um how you are today and the mindset.
So thank you for having me, and I appreciate, of course, three Millie for inviting me to be a part, and good to be back in the studio. But so I grew up with my mom, who was a I don't know no better way to say it. She was a call girl
Mm-hmm.
in New York. Loved entertainers. Grew up in New York. It was my grandparents that saved my life when I moved to Detroit. My dad asked me to come to Detroit so that they could save my life, and they were pastors, so that changed my life. But um, I think for so long, the things that I went through, I had a son of mine, a son in ministry, say to me, because what I would do, everything that I've been through, I would keep it on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, and that's what men tend to do. He said, if you don't deal with it, it's going to deal with you, and it'll come out in other areas. And I got to thinking, I was doing a radio interview actually, and it'll manifest in other areas. And I began to see that, and didn't even know that it was already happening, because things that are left undealt with, they will eventually deal with you in relationships, in family, in parenting. I saw my dad uh, not be a great father, not there all the time. He was there at the right times. Couple of moves he made that saved my life, but wasn't there all the time. So then that began to manifest on me. Oh, as long as I'm making money, taking care of them.
Mm-hmm.
So all that is a part of your psyche and the way that you think. So we don't know, but a lot of that is formed when we're younger. The way
When we're
we deal with
younger.
relationships,
Right.
toxicity, all those things.
Mm-hmm. So what would be how would things show up in, just say, like, a relationship? So in your instance, had you not
Triggers,
dealt, so the
triggers,
triggers.
the triggers, various triggers. Um, you don't even know it because it's deep down inside,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in the bloodline. Like I say all the time, I fight my daddy's demons all the time. My dad, Papa was a Rolling Stone.
All right.
Our generation I don't know
I
if
know, I
you,
know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
Papa was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his
Was
home.
his home.
And so I had to fight that demon, and even he has only been married one time, and he married somebody much young. They was actually my age, and all those things contribute to my likes, my attractions, what I want, and what I crave for. And if you again, I'll say it for the third time. I'm not just repeating myself. If you don't deal with them, they'll deal with you, and they're like skeletons.
Right.
They come out at the most unopportune time. They start dancing, and and here's the thing about relationships, and I'm done. Here's the thing about relationships. I teach this, that you need to see a person in all
All
seasons.
seasons.
Yes.
Yes.
And what we don't do, because most time, by the time we get to somebody, we're lonely, and we want just to fill that space and that void. And the problem is we haven't seen them in all all areas.
Mhm.
And I've been through, even as a relationship coach,
Mhm.
I've been there. And I tell people as a relationship coach, I'm taking you on my journey. I don't claim to be perfect and know it all. I'm taking you on my journey. I'm talking out loud, even right now, the transparency. So you have to deal with the skeletons and eventually put some meat on the bones and deal with them.
So, how are people able to identify these skeletons? If that is their norm, how are they able to say, ah, this is it? This is the thing?
You know, that's a very good question. What you said with it, coupled with it, is the part, and that is their norm.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the norm. It's their norm,
Right.
but it's not their norm. It's not the
The
norm.
norm.
And the issue is we don't have nobody around us to tell us, you know, that behavior is not normal.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially people with influence and power,
Mm-hmm.
we tend to have, you know, one of the favorite stories of an enabler is Michael Jackson
Yeah.
and Prince. They had enablers,
Yeah.
people that enabled their addictions and their wants. And people with influence, they just had people around them, you know, say, "Oh, you just something else." You know, I'm not just something else. I got some issues.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have the right people around you, they'll tell you, "Oh no, your breath stink.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you stink. You know, your boo boo stink too. You all that, yeah. But you got some issues." And again, I think that we need therapy.
Mm-hmm.
We need programs like this
Mm-hmm.
to talk about so that people that we do influence can say, "Oh, he goes through that too," and he's giving it. You know,
Absolutely.
I do what I do because I'm called to do it and gifted to do it. But it don't mean that none of this stuff that everybody else goes through, you hear me thinking out loud, I deal with it too. Most of the people that are great people deal with more stuff.
Deal with it. Absolutely.
Just think about it. I'm a preacher. I talk on behalf of somebody can't nobody see.
Mm-hmm.
So you you gotta be you gotta be a little
That's good right there.
no,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
You know, creative people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you all are creative people. Wouldn't even be sitting here. The people that's in here are creative people.
Right.
This studio was built on creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Take something from nothing and make it something.
Mhm.
That's a little cuckoo when you really think about it. People that drew these pictures just to take it, my dad draws, just to take these pictures and draw them from most creative people are a little different.
Mhm.
We are.
We know we really are, and we have to admit that. And nobody now, um, one of my colleagues who her name is Dr. Nick, and I'm going to give her credit for this. She came on my show one time, and I promise you I'm done. I'm a preacher. I have three closings. She talked about broken crayons, still
Mm-hmm.
color.
Mm-hmm.
That was a message in a book of hers. And when you think about it, even though the crayon is broken, how many times have you taken a broken crayon and
Right.
colored with it?
Right.
Or even a broken pencil? You can still use
You
it,
can still use
Mhm.
but y'all not hearing me because see, I'm about to preach.
it. Go ahead.
Right.
We're just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And many times, unless we admit it, which is the problem I have with the church, and I live in the church, but is that we're broken, but we don't want to admit it. So that's why people say hypocrites go to church. No, we're not hypocrites. We just won't admit that we're dealing with the same thing, but it's the hospital. And the only difference in all of us that's sitting here and those that are watching us is we said yes to the gift and the call. We're still
Oh,
broken.
that is loaded.
We're
That is
still broken.
so good.
That makes so much sense. My brother's a pastor,
Okay.
so I got it. You know, growing up, he got called to
Okay.
preach when he was around 17 or 18 years old, and he's 6 years older than me. I just turned 60 last December.
I turned last June. Mhm.
But it's that's great stuff. When you mentioned about the broken crayons, you know, steel color, it reminded me of a sermon that I heard about your life's journey. You know, think of it as a ship, and it's going to be some rough waters. There's going to be some rocks, you know, in the way, and sometimes your ship will crash against those rocks. You grab onto the piece of the ship, i.e., your faith,
Mhm.
and you still stay afloat until you get to a destination.
Absolutely.
Once you get to dry land, that's when you just, you know, take everything in you to rebuild.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can always start over again
Exactly.
because it's a journey.
Right. I mean, people's lives can get broken just like glass.
Hmm.
You take broken glass and you reforge it in the fire and just make a new vessel.
Yeah.
It might not look like the old vessel. It's not supposed to.
But that's a part of the development.
Right.
The journey is a part of
A
development.
mosaic, a mosaic is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But even the person that created the mosaic, they were broken.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Some of the most beautiful things are created from brokenness.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But is it really brokenness then, or is it just a different shape, different form
It's a transition.
to be able to create
Yeah.
something new?
It's a transition.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
I
That's
mean,
good.
if you think about it, life as a whole, life is transitional. Pain, we think it's going to last forever. It's really temporary.
It really is.
When
And
you
that
when
is
you
something that that has been a message for the last few months, because society has taught us to think of life being so permanent, but
Mhm.
it's not.
Mhm.
Life is forever evolving and
Mhm.
constantly changing, but we act like every decision we make, everything has to be permanent. We're not really open to, okay, let's just go with
Mhm.
the flow of life.
Can I bring another word in there?
Absolutely.
Temporary but necessary.
Yeah.
But necessary.
Yeah, necessary too.
Mhm.
The
Do
thing,
explain.
yeah, the pain is I mean, when you talk about a diamond, anything that's beautiful, it started off in the rough, and it was necessary for the process.
Right.
I don't mean to be preachy, but it was necessary for me to be afflicted. That's a scripture in the Bible. It was
Mhm.
necessary because it brought out of me some things. Your pain, things are brought out in pain and in the fire.
Right.
And so many of us don't want to go through that. That's a part of the journey. I'm more into the journey than the destination,
Mhm.
because you get more on the journey than the destination. You get developed, you become,
Mhm.
you meet great people like you all,
Mhm.
Right.
connections. I came to this studio and recorded. They called me, said they want to be a part of your show. That's all a part of the journey.
Mhm.
We evolve, and nobody wants to get off the porch and go on the journey because they just want to get to the destination.
Mhm.
The journey is actually longer than the destination,
Oh yeah, it is.
and the journey is more interesting
Mhm.
than the destination. Once you get to the day, you be like, "Is this all that's here?"
The journey is fun.
The journey
The
is fun.
journey is fun.
Yeah.
But Bishop Gregory, you keep saying you don't want to be preachy. It's okay to be preachy
Okay.
as long as we teaching, right?
Yeah.
So explain to people that don't know how did you get there? Like, how do you become? How do you realize that you need to start becoming? Especially if you're not in an environment that fosters truth, that fosters greatness, that fosters support.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. You see, I'm still becoming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure my co Silver Fox would also agree with me, even though he's 60, we're
Mhm.
still becoming.
Yes.
We may not be
Mhm.
um at the point of the climb as we was 30 years ago,
Right.
but the mere fact that we're right here and evolving on the podcast and all the things that we're doing, you never fully become.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing. I hate to say this, but everybody will not come into the knowledge. They won't. It's like one of the scriptures says, "The poor you will have with you always." There's a reason why that scripture says that, is because some people will not ever hear the gospel or freedom to not be poor anymore.
Mhm.
And then some people will hear it but won't accept it.
Yeah. I agree with that.
You were about to say, go ahead.
No, I agree with what
Yeah.
you're saying, because it's written, everyone will hear the gospel,
Mhm.
before Christ comes back.
Mhm.
Everybody's going to hear it. There are some people that, hear it and they just reject it.
Mhm.
And
That's like truth, period, though.
yeah.
I just use that for a metaphor, but everybody won't receive truth.
Hmm.
They won't. I don't care how much we sit and do these kind of. Everybody won't receive it. There are some that will perish because
Mhm.
of the lack of knowledge,
Right.
and that's sad.
Hmm.
But we try to do things like this, what you're doing, and what you're doing, and what I'm doing, and what they're doing here, so that they will at least know. And I think knowing is half the battle, but then receiving and changing,
Hmm.
and into that metamorphosis, becoming that butterfly instead of just staying the way that you are. And so many people, they just won't put themselves in the environment.
And as good as you think you are, I was one of those people. I'm
Wow.
like, I can get away with this. God don't see this.
Mm-hmm.
I can get away with this. I still believe in God, but I'm over here doing something that's derogatory.
Hmm.
Derogatory. It's not really of God, but because I'm doing it because I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, tell you a little story. Last November, I had a near-death experience. Uh, that changed me, my whole way of thinking. I started digging back into what I was told growing up, mother and father and my brother, the
Hmm.
pastor. You got to be obedient to God's word. Um, and you got to really sit down and just ask yourself, have you really gave your life to Christ? Just sit down and just ask yourself that question. And every day it's 3 affirmations that I've started doing. Uh, the first affirmation is God come into my life, lead me and guide me. The second affirmation is I'm blessed. The third affirmation is I've made it. And that covers my past, my present,
Hmm.
and my future.
Hmm.
I've made it. I look at, a lot of things that I did in my past, I shouldn't be here. I'm looking at my present. I'm here and I literally died November 22nd of 2022.
Wow.
But I made it. I'm here talking to you, beautiful people.
Mm-hmm.
My future, as long as I keep God first and I keep Him, as part of my life, I think I'll be all right. But I have to share the knowledge, as I go through this life and with other people that, may not get a chance to hear someone, take up time with them and say, hey, this happened to me. God did this for me. He can do the same thing for you. So we have to be witnesses too. Um, I'm sorry. I just
No,
kind of
no
got off track.
apologies. Go
But
ahead.
I just think about things differently now. What used to upset me doesn't really upset me anymore. Um, People that don't like it, okay. It's like,
Right.
okay, you don't like me, that's cool. I've got to be about my purpose. And so my job is to find my purpose. It's going to be pleasing to God and it's going to be good for all of us as a whole. I got to be the best version of myself. And maybe I can help someone be the best version of their self. And if we're doing it right, we're pleasing God and we continue to get blessings.
And that's good mental health right there.
That's excellent
Yeah.
mental health.
Yeah.
And how would you how would you say that you were able to overcome the barriers that possibly prevented you from asking for help earlier?
Ooh, God.
Hmm. That's good.
Ooh, boy, we're going to church today, boy.
Let's go,
Um,
y'all.
I didn't really start dealing with mental health and psychologists until after I came back from Iraq. And it was in large part because my then wife didn't know how to deal with me because I wasn't the same person I was when I came back. Mannerisms were different. Um, my tone was different. I didn't see it, but she saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't really get into an argument, but it was just uncomfortable, feeling. And she just got to where she couldn't take it, anymore. So I felt, betrayed because she couldn't take it anymore. But the problem was neither one of us got any help with her being a military spouse. All right, when your spouse comes back, he may be a little different, but this is how you deal with it, and that you need to go talk to counselors.
Right.
I rejected that. I said, "Don't worry about it. Everything will be all right." You know, that was just my opinion. Everything will be all right. I'm still the same person I was, and she looking at me like, shaking it. Nah, you're not the same person. But fast forward to today, she is probably one of my best friends that I have.
Mm-hmm.
She's got someone else now, but I call her up, just like have conversations. Um, we tease each other a lot. My son that's living there, next door to her, now he calls me literally every day, without fail. And going to therapy kind of brought all that about. Uh, I could have been angry. I'm like, how can you, leave me and I'm, in this, I'm a mess. You
Mm-hmm.
you didn't love me, at all. but she just didn't know how to deal with it. So then going to therapy taught me to accept that she didn't have the tools to, really work with me.
Right.
I didn't have the tools because I was hard headed. I didn't think I needed therapy.
Because why didn't you think you needed therapy? Because is it
Because
because
I was good.
there's a
I was all right.
stigma in our
Yeah.
community about mental
hmm
health?
Well, it's kind of like you feel ashamed.
Right.
You really do feel ashamed. You feel like if you can't handle it as a man, beat your
Right.
chest.
That part.
If you can't handle it, then maybe you're not the man that you are supposed to be. But you're less of a man when you don't recognize that you need help and you got to ask for it. I mean, you really got to humble yourself. Said, man, I'm like, this stuff ain't going right. I need help. And then when you talk to the right person, they put all these tools in place to help you get to that point where you can ask for help.
Bishop Gregory,
Mm-hmm.
as a coach, a relationship expert, and I know you've dealt with plenty of couples that have, traumas. How do you get, especially men, because of the stigma in our society about mental health? What are some of the ways that you get that man to open up to realize, okay, yeah, I really do need help for myself. I need to do some healing. I need this and I deserve this. And not just, you know, continue to go on the hamster wheel of the man having to be the provider, protector, and neglect himself.
You know, I'm going to answer it a little different. How do you get a man to trust? Period, even to
Right.
trust the
Right.
woman,
Mhm.
because they come in. I really think men trust less than women. It's just my opinion.
I agree.
I think that trust is earned. No one comes to the table immediately opening up. The way that I've done it is I talk about myself. That I'm no better than you. I've had the same issues. I've had the same things, and be transparent. That's the same way that a woman gets a man
Right.
to open up.
Mhm.
It's hard to open a man up because he comes with defenses. He's the man. Y'all know this.
Mhm.
But one of the ways you get a man to trust you is um, not to break his trust.
Mm.
I know that sounds so simple, but ladies don't
Yeah.
understand that.
Mm.
They don't want men don't want to come in and hear what he shared with his woman. He looks at his woman as a safe place.
Mhm.
Right.
So by the time I get to them, the trust is usually broken by either side.
Mhm.
And I'm very honest with them. It's not going to come back overnight. Broken trust is rebuilt over time. I just recently still talking to a couple where the guy cheated. He's a cheater. He admitted, I'm a cheater. I've cheated before. She knew he was a cheater, and she wants it to work. But I let him know that it's going to take time to get back into her graces. And as it relates to me talking to men, it takes time. I have to let them know that they can trust me. And here's the other thing, that I'm not on anybody's side.
Mhm.
That's the key to talking to even couples. I'm not on anybody's side. I don't have any horses in the race.
Yeah.
I'm there to help, and a lot of times I repeat to them what they said, because people sometimes they talk but they don't hear themselves when they talk.
Mhm.
So I repeat back to them, this is what you just said. Does this make sense? What would you tell somebody else? We never talk like we're talking to somebody else. We only talk like it's us. What would you tell somebody? The advice we give somebody else, we usually don't take it ourselves. We think it's for the next person.
Oh.
It's not for us. If I tell him something, well, that's not for me.
Yeah.
That's for him. But actually, the reason why I'm telling him is because I need to know it.
Because you need to know it too, right?
You just
And I'm really talking to myself.
But you just reminded me of something I heard a couple of weeks ago. We walk around trying to discern, what's the truth and what's the lie, right? You said it just a minute ago. Don't try to discern what the truth and the lie is. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when you start looking at stuff like that, ask yourself, all right, what they just did, what they just said. I don't know if it's a lie. I don't know if it's the truth. Does it make sense?
Hmm.
And so you just kind of, toss it around in your head and,
You know the thing about truth? Everybody has their own.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just like a
Oh,
nose.
Yep.
oh
I will say
my,
something else.
oh my, oh my. That's a
No,
mouthful right
no, for real.
there.
Everybody
Yeah.
have their own truth, and that's what's wrong with a lot of couples.
Mm-hmm.
We all come with our own truths.
Right.
Truth is based upon what we've learned
Mm-hmm.
to be true to us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've been through it.
Mm-hmm.
You take two people from different walks, they come with a different truth. They come with a different truth about parenting.
Mm-hmm.
They come with a different truth about money.
Yeah.
They come with a different truth about the way they take care of their house, their clothes,
Each other.
each other, and most of their truth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get too deep. Most of
Go
their
No,
truth,
get
Yeah,
no,
deep.
no,
go
most of
ahead.
their
I'm waiting.
truth comes from the truth of others.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Oh,
Somebody's planted that seed.
Somebody's
that's
planted this.
oh,
How you handle a man
Mm-hmm.
is based
oh.
upon how you saw your mother handle a
Preach.
man, and that's her truth. How you handle a woman
Yeah.
is based upon what you saw or watched this or didn't see.
Right.
Oh,
If you don't go seek other truth,
Mm-hmm.
then the truth that you've learned can mess you up.
It can.
I didn't. My grandfather and grandparents they were married 67 years. I learned how to be kind to a woman by watching him be kind. I also learned about a nagging woman because my grandmother was this tall. He was 6 foot something,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't understand why he was always in the garage listening to the news in the car when I got home from school because she was in there raising hell nicely. She was
Right.
a godly woman, but
Mhm.
those are the truths that I learned. But
Mhm.
then I sought other truth to learn how to be, how to open doors for back then they didn't,
Yeah.
how to know that. And I'm gonna drop this that 50-50 ain't the way the man should take care of his home. I just had to throw that in because I'm an advocate of that.
100%.
But anyway,
Yep.
but anyway,
100%.
wait,
I had
no,
to throw that.
wait.
No,
Slow
we keep
down
no
on
no
them
we
words.
keep
Slow
going.
down
We
on
can keep
them.
going. No, no, that's something that I get. I had a post go over 1 million go viral. So I hit that 50-50 thing. Like I had to always throw that. But that's people's truth. Unless you learn something different,
Mhm.
even though your truth can be a lie.
Mhm.
The hardest thing to get is to get people to admit that their truth was a lie.
Yeah.
So, oh. So that goes
Because
back
it's only based upon the
Mhm.
knowledge you
what
have.
you have, right?
Right.
What you've seen
You
in your
evolve.
environment, right? Absolutely.
And see,
So how do you
Go
begin
ahead.
to how does one begin to decipher what's their true identity and the BS that does not belong to them?
It comes on that journey from evolving, listening to podcasts like this, mentors, other knowledge, reading what we have on the table, books and podcasts. There's so much information now. Social media is like everything else, is good and bad.
Mhm.
Just like church, you got good and bad. Social media can take you down a rabbit hole. It can take you down conspiracy. You can think that those people that were in the Capitol were nice people on January 6th.
Mhm.
It's what truth you want to believe. We have a big battle with truth right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in the world, in Washington.
But why is that though? Do you think that it's because of societal brainwash? Because people,
Absolutely.
my platform, honestly, y'all, is people we really, as people, we don't know our true identities. We really don't understand who we are and how powerful we are when we tap into
Mhm.
and become aligned with who we were purposed to be on this earth.
Mhm.
Like I like to call them mental abortions because, like you said, they're seeds that's been planted, and we've nurtured these seeds throughout life with our thoughts, with our behaviors, with our actions,
Mhm.
and that I came up with the term. It's called genetically modified thoughts. Like they're not our thoughts, but we've nurtured them and they've become a part of our DNA. And now it's time for us to mentally abort that
Mhm.
because it doesn't belong to us and it's no longer serving us purpose.
Mhm.
But how do you get to that point? For me, I know it was life, it was the journey, correct. But I also had a lot of influential people. I was also in environments that was very supportive. And what I'm finding, a lot of people don't have the support that I had or maybe you had.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get a community to shift that mindset of adopting
Hmm.
or being told what we should be and actually becoming what we were purposed to be and
Yeah,
placed here to be?
definitely pray for discernment because you're going to get so many different ways of doing things to achieve like the same objective, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
got to know who you are
Mm-hmm.
inside,
Mm-hmm.
and is that the best avenue for me to take? Yeah, you really got to think about it before you even make a move. Pray about it and think it through before you make a move to just go that direction. Is it going to serve me? Is it not going to serve me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, will I be better after this?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Wisdom
Yeah.
is the principal thing.
mm,
Knowledge, understanding for yourself. Thank God for influencers, but they can be wrong too.
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
The other greatest thing about a mentor, other than the good part, is their bad part too.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Learn what not to do
Mhm.
from them. Um, I don't know the name of it. I've been watching Netflix lately, and it was a young lady. They were, and I don't know, maybe somebody can help me with the name of it, but they were actually thinking that they were still in slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they were in Georgia, and this plantation had been there, and they didn't know on the other side of the road was a whole nother world.
World.
They hadn't even been told that slaves were free.
Mm.
And she happened to run away, and she ended up on the highway.
Mm.
And Common was in the movie. I can't think of the young lady's name, but Common was in the movie, and he picked up on this truck, and she's looking at the truck like, "What is this?" And you know what brought her to the light to know that slavery was over? Jet magazine, Ebony. She started seeing black women that were empowered. Then she started picking up books and started reading, and she found out that they were free. You know what she did? She took Common back there in that truck and freed the rest of them,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and got Master locked up in jail, and found out that there was a whole nother world. That's just like knowledge and truth. We don't seek it. You have to seek it. You have to want. You have to have an ambition to know, to say, I want more than. It's got to be more than this.
Right.
It's got. See me. I've been a traditional pastor for 30 something years, but then I said one day, I've been on Christian television, the Word Network, for 16 years as a host. But I said there's got to be more than I can do than just stand in the pulpit and preach. And I just got through doing that on my way here. I still do that here and there. But the relationship piece,
Mm-hmm.
it helps me it helps people in a different way. So when you come into the knowledge, you evolve. I keep using that word. You come into the truth that there's more. So somebody that's watching, you need to understand that there's more.
Mm-hmm.
There's more knowledge, there's more wisdom, there's more understanding. And you got to seek it.
Yeah.
What did they say about us, about these things right here?
If you want to hide information from us,
Put it
put
in
it
a
in a book.
And you don't even have to read them now.
No,
They
you
talk
don't.
to you.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the internet is it can take you so many places. It can take you down a rabbit hole, as we see every time these guys go shoot up schools. They have manifestos. They've left stuff on the internet. They've read, but it's so much wisdom. We don't know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just talking about the culture, because we talk about for the culture, but we don't know who we are.
Right.
We were made with something. We were brought here on purpose. I don't care what your mother and father did as a mistake. That's where it comes in at. I don't care if they just slept together one night. You were brought here on purpose. They
For a
were
reason.
used to bring you here.
Yes. Yeah.
So get it together and understand you have greater purpose.
Mm.
You're not a mistake. You were brought here on purpose.
Yeah.
That's right.
And don't leave here until you're empty. Because you're full.
Mm-hmm.
You're full. The last thing I say, we have to have something, it's called a kenosis. It's an emptying out.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we go from one thing to another and we never empty ourselves out. Like he was talking about. That's all he was talking.
Mm-hmm.
He emptied himself out and put new stuff in there. Those 3 affirmations. That's powerful.
Right. Yeah.
What you say to yourself
Yeah.
daily
Daily.
is who you become.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good mental health. What you say to yourself daily
Mm-hmm.
is who you become. Who you hang around is who you are.
Absolutely.
All right. I didn't mean to go that far.
No, you good. You good. Our actor conservatory teacher, Anthony Page. You probably know him. You know Anthony Page,
No, I don't know.
Blue Bistro Creative. He does more than just try to improve our acting skills. He's like a mentor, and he's just a person. He's full of so much wisdom, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you two would have a great conversation. Trust me. He's a
I like
spiritual.
him already.
Let's make connections.
He's a spiritual brother, and he talks so much about knowing who you are in regards to acting. But you can take it one step further. Know who you are as to being the individual. How you treat people. Are you treating people the way you want to be treated?
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
Basic values of life.
Yeah. I mean, I could go back to so many old sayings. Treat the janitor just like you would the CEO.
Absolutely. I love it.
It's all in how you treat people. That's where you get your blessings from.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't go out and do things, for show, like, helping somebody that's down on their luck. And you know how some people, video it, hey, I bought this guy new shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Do it because it's from the heart and because you see a need and God has blessed you to take care of that, person. You'll get something on the other side, but don't do it because you're looking to get. Do it because it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get your blessing.
That's good.
One more question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's probably the most important question. We can talk about relationships with other people and how we cultivate relationships with other people, but we have to tap into a higher power in order to be able to cultivate a true relationship with ourselves. There's so many things out there that says one thing against another, blah, blah, blah. But what would be one of the most important ways, or how would you tell someone to tap into themselves and cultivate that spiritual relationship that we need for everyday living, because it's definitely a necessity.
He just about, I'm still back on the 3 things he decreed and declare. Because if you decree a thing, it shall be established for your life.
Right.
Mary Jane used to come on BET.
Mm-hmm.
I was always impressed by. She would always post things and all over the place. You have to take time out for yourself.
You do.
And shut the voices up. Shut the noise up.
That's the word.
You can't have a relationship with a higher power talking to everybody else.
That's true. You got to get in that cocoon.
You got to get in that cocoon. And this is not here to push Christianity, whatever you believe, because I understand my audience is vast and yours is too. When people, it's but you have to tap into something higher than you. Yeah, you have to tap in
deliberately.
There you go.
If you just listening to yourself and not taking a spiritual journey, we are in the human body. We're having a human experience, but we also are having a spiritual experience too at the same time. We're trichotomy, mind, body, soul. We're made up of spirit. Yeah, you pick up. We call it vibes.
Yeah, vibes.
But it's the spirit of a person, what they bring. It's so peaceful in here.
Right.
Because this is the spirit of the place. It was set, the candles, you all are peaceful. It's because you can tell when people have done work on themselves. It's a peaceful thing. It's not a tug. We harmonize, harmony. You know where harmony comes from? It comes from the individual person first.
Right.
I can't harmonize with you if I'm not in harmony with myself.
If you're not in tune.
If I'm not in tune with me. We don't take enough time out. We go from relationship to relationship, always have other voices in our head that we become those people.
Yeah.
And we never hear from the Almighty.
Yeah.
We never hear from God.
And you're really like segueing into the relationship thing. A lot of times we think that I got to have this woman, or the woman will say, I got to have this man. Why don't you get yourself right first?
Mm.
Right.
Get
That part.
That's 101 for me
That's
teaching.
yeah,
it.
get
Become the right one before
yeah,
you find the right one.
Find the right one.
get yourself right. Um, I'm 60, so I've had two wives, two ex-wives. I've had women that I almost married, and
I've had all that.
I mean, it's like
Come on, school us.
I teach my son based on mistakes that I made. This is
Mhm.
my with my second ex-wife. We got a great relationship. I wish that all former marriages could be this way,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of drama, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, and a lot of things that people just are refusing to deal with. That's on them. Once they sit down and look at well, I'm tired of always going back and forth. I'm tired of this. I'm not at peace. And that's why a lot of people are sick.
Mm-hmm.
They got sickness because they holding on to poisonous stuff. You hating on somebody that's like drinking poison and
Oh,
expecting them to die.
yeah.
Stop doing that. If you want to, we talked about being in the cocoon. If you want peace, be deliberate. I want peace, so let me shut everything out. Let me get in this cocoon. Let me read up, some scriptures. It talks about peace and love, and then don't just read about it and take it in and soak it up. Become what you're reading. You know, uh, if you want love, become that love that you're seeking. If you want peace, become that peace. Is it easy? Nah. If you like me, you say, yeah, that sucker did me dirty. I just hate him. You got to throw that away too. And this is my train of thought from last year, having a near death experience. That's one thing I can say that has changed. I don't harbor any like bad feelings toward anybody that may have done me wrong, and I I just want to be about my purpose. Find out, okay, why did you uh, let me stay here? Why did you let me stay here? You obviously got something else for me to do. So that's where that's the track that I'm on from this point forward. All right, what do I need to do to please you? And if you give me some blessings along the way, cool. But right now, I want to know, what do you want me to do to please you?
Yeah, and you're doing it now,
Yeah,
Love
sitting here.
it.
It pleases him when we're in our assignment.
yeah.
Yeah. Our purpose, what we were brought here for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up and sum it up, and you guys can correct me or fill in as need be, to shift a community mindset, what is needed is individual accountability,
Mm-hmm.
um, intentionality
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
about
yeah,
oneself.
be
Yeah,
deliberate, and be deliberate for the good things, the good things, in life.
yeah,
Um, don't try to wish harm on nobody, regardless of what they may have done to you. But wish them well, pray for them.
that's right.
Be the best version of yourself.
Consistency.
Yeah.
That's Here's what I live by, and I'm done for real. Consistency breeds longevity,
Mm.
Um,
and longevity breeds legacy.
I love it. All right, guys. Tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, get your
Everywhere,
stuff, your product, your merch.
everywhere at Bishop Greg Davis. Everywhere. Clubhouse. There's an app called Clubhouse. We're there every day at 3 o'clock. I have a show there talking about relationship. Instagram, nothing but content. YouTube, everywhere at Bishop Greg Davis. I have relationship books, do's and don'ts of dating. The book and workbook, preparing the position for the right one, and my brand new book, Compatibility Factor. There's a bundle going on as we speak, so you can get all four of them. Greg Davis
Go get
Show,
it,
gregdavisshow.com. And this is my merch. This is when you don't want to be bothered. People tell them go with God
Go with God. Go with God.
or bless them on the way. Not just when you don't want to be bothered.
Right, right.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And Mr.
Yeah, Dexter Matthews. Just my name, Dexter Matthews. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. And
The podcast.
my partner and I, S.A. Brown Entertainment, Stephanie. We partnered to develop a podcast called 10th and Northside TV. You can find us on YouTube, and you can also find us on Spotify. That's again 10th and Northside TV. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification button.
That's right.
I just followed you.
Good.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. It has been such a pleasure talking to you guys on this platform
Oh, yeah,
today.
thank
I
you for
really,
having
really
me.
appreciate
Yeah,
you
thank you
guys
for having
showing
me
up.
here. And you are so coordinated with your hat and everything.
Thank you.
Ah.
Yeah.